Welcome to your Innovation Coffee Break. I'm Vijay Rajendran, Head of Corporate Innovation in the 500 Startups Ecosystems Group. I'm excited to be joined today by Jason Miles of Volvo Financial Services. Jason, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. So today what we'll be doing is continuing our series of talking to folks that are at the intersection of investing, of corporate innovation, of building startups, and so on, and talking to Jason about his experience with Volvo and the kind of work that they're doing in the rapidly changing world of mobility, of fintech, and so on. Perhaps a good place to start, Jason, is if you can tell us a little bit about Volvo Group and also VFS and what does it do?
Yeah, definitely. So Volvo Group is a global commercial vehicle manufacturer. I'm sure a lot of your viewers have heard of Volvo as a brand from our history in the automotive sector. Volvo Group no longer owns the Volvo Cars unit, but we continue to own everything that's commercial vehicle focused. So everything from long haul Class 8 vehicles to bulldozers and marine equipment and all of the things that you would use in a global transportation logistics ecosystem. We have about 10 sub businesses. We have business units including Volvo Trucks, Mack Trucks, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, Volvo Construction Equipment, Volvo Penta, which is our marine equipment company. We own Renault and Volvo buses. So any big vehicle that you see on the road is probably associated with a Volvo brand. One of our additional business units, which I work for, is Volvo Financial Services. And we are the captive financial services company for all of the Volvo Group brands. We lend to customers that are purchasing our vehicles, and we also maintain the ongoing relationship with those customers that we've lent to. We're all over the world. We operate out of about 100 countries. We have about 100,000 employees, and in terms of scale, Volvo Trucks is our largest brand, representing about 60% of revenue, and Volvo Financial Services is, being the captive lender, we represent about 30% of the global balance sheet. So you can imagine kind of the scale that we kind of manage and help the group out with, given our position in the company.
Very cool. And you're based in North Carolina, and the organization though is global. What are your major markets?
So we are split. We split the world into 3 regions: the Americas, Europe, EMEA, obviously, and Asia. In the Americas, it's Canada, the US, and South America. Brazil is a large, probably our 4th largest region. Obviously Europe is huge for us. In Asia, we entered that market through a series of joint ventures with large commercial vehicle partners in that market because it's just so unique. And again, we have some operations in South Africa and the Middle East, India especially, but our largest markets are US, Canada, Europe broadly defined, and South America.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. And Jason, you're managing director of VFS Innovation Ventures. Tell us a little bit about what the VFS Innovation Ventures does, and why are you investing, and what your rationale is for partnering with startups as well.
Yeah. So about 3 or 4 years ago, Volvo Group started to go through a strategic transformation around entering into, the modern commercial vehicle sector with autonomy and vehicles that were going to be much more connected and accessible by our customers and the fleets that they manage. As a part of that, Volvo Financial Services, as a subsidiary, pursued a similar strategic initiative around ways that we could transform our business into the captive finance company of the future, in order to support the broader group's initiatives around, again, connectivity and autonomy and different services. Most companies, as you know, that are manufacturers of goods have, over the past 10 to 20 years, increased their service revenue in order to kind of diversify their revenue base away from pure products and more into services. And Volvo has not been alone in that. So, as we've pursued business transformation, which for us means, greater connectivity, more data, more insights into our customer base, and above all, stronger relationships with our customers and their operations. We've looked to startups as a way to accelerate those initiatives, especially around technology, but also around just, innovations around solutions to help us with some of our bigger challenges in areas that Volvo historically has not had expertise. So, for example, payments or insurance services, and some of the mobility services that are out there. So that's kind of why we started this initiative around innovation itself. VFS Innovation Ventures houses a lot of that innovation activity, but it's also allowed us to invest in some of the startup partners that we've selected.
That's super exciting, and it reminds me of what one of our partners at 500, Shilmanot, who's fintech investor, likes to say, which is like, everybody can be a bank in today's day and age. So, in the spirit of that, what stage and verticals are then interesting to VFS?
Yeah, it's interesting. Over the past few years, stages have become a little bit gray in that the difference between a Series A or a C company and a Series B company have kind of melded together, where you get this this hodgepodge of companies that might have product market fit, or they might have a better, a more mature product, or a company that has a great market niche, but they haven't necessarily found the product. So from a traditional staging standpoint, I would say we focus on early stage companies that are early Series A and late Series A. So it can be right before they've raised their first institutional round, or right after they've raised a round and have gotten some initial product market fit. The requirement that I really look for is having companies that have had some enterprise level success. They've proven out their product market fit, at least with another global multinational, because that's kind of who we are. And are interested in entering into the commercial vehicle sector as another application of their technology. We realize that we operate in a very unique market, and it's very hard for companies to penetrate. So we kind of allow the companies to apply their solutions, to our sector. We definitely look for companies in the fintech sector for Volvo Financial Services, but we also look at mobility companies and logistics companies. Essentially, we like to partner with startups that can help enhance the services that we deliver for our customers, for our global dealers, but also those that can help increase our efficiency internally.
That's super interesting. So like when you imagine the transformation of the business, there's, you know, I'm sure a process you're going through collecting, you know, the needs of your stakeholders, and turning around and saying like, I have something like useful for you. And is that something that you have as part of your thesis up front, or is it part of your own like diligence? Do you find like, where does the kind of like internal conversation and you know, kind of like need finding like fit into the way you invest?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say it depends. We are strategic first. So any company that we work with has to have some sort of fit in our overall strategic roadmap. How we get there, though, is a little bit different depending on the situation. We have certain opportunities that arise because the business unit or the group is specifically looking at a particular problem or challenge, whether it's invoicing, or, you know, customers don't have enough payments, payment options that, you know, we want to increase, and they come to us at VFS Innovation Ventures and ask us if we know, you know, any startups that can help with those challenges. And then on the other side of it, we have a very broad ecosystem that we tap into, including folks like 500 that, you know, kind of help pull us into the innovation ecosystem, where there might be startups doing things that we should be doing, but don't necessarily know about. And for those, you know, we tend to take those in, you know, work with them to see if there's a fit, a quote unquote Volvo market fit, right? And then determine if there is something to partner on. You know, so that's kind of how we make those decisions. I would say for the ones that come in externally, or from our external ecosystem, you know, I really want to understand whether or not there is a revenue generation opportunity or a cost savings opportunity that can be realized within 2 to 3 years. You know, we're not really looking for moonshots. You know, from the outside, we're looking to accelerate what we're already working on.
No, that's really important. So you have that alignment. Do you get a lot of top management participation then in any of these partnerships or pilots or whatever as they take shape?
Yeah, definitely. Management buy-in is a very large pillar in what we're doing. But in our case, you know, we're fortunate because our management actually views innovation as kind of a leading catalyst for our business transformation. So, you know, we're convinced that working with startups very early in their life cycle will allow us to access kind of cutting edge technology before it scales. And if we can tap into that, you know, very early on, it increases our overall competitive advantage, because we operate in, again, a very small market of a small oligopoly, essentially, of commercial vehicle providers. And, you know, in order for us to race ahead, the best way to do that is to find technologies and services that you can offer before your competitor. And we operate in a world now where service delivery moves very fast, and, you know, the services that are available to our customers, you know, move faster than we as an OEM can create them. So, you know, having relationships with startups is a huge way for us to access some of that R&D.
I think you hit on something really important, which is the most expensive thing in the world, even if you're the biggest company like a Volvo group in any space, is, you know, is time. It is really expensive and really hard to buy yourself time. And when one thinks particularly about what startups can do, is that they move like really fast, and that they make such great use of time. And certainly that's part of the advice, you know, we give our founders at 500 is how to, you know, accelerate their rate of learning and to like move with lightning speed. The You know, the benefit then for you as you know, as a convener is, can you offer something to them that would you know, help you move faster, but maybe accelerate them? Can you share a little bit about your like acceleration experiences in the past, and how, you know, it's been possible to like help one of those companies like move down their roadmap a little faster?
Yeah, 100%. At the fourth quarter of 2019, we made an investment in an insurtech company called Rain. And, you know, company has, you know, great product, you know, great strategic partners and investors, but really had focused their product on markets that, while they were growing, they were also smaller, right? So, you know, we were able to come in and work with them to apply their technology to the commercial vehicle sector, which has a much longer runway in terms of, you know, global market opportunity. And, you know, we've had some early success with them by allowing them to use their technology, apply it to our customer segment, while also allowing us to introduce insurance to our customer base, right? So it's given them an opportunity to, again, enter into a global market in a commercial vehicle sector that they probably wouldn't otherwise have been able to get access to, and opens up a huge revenue opportunity for them going forward. So, you know, we think it should give them a nice little valuation boost.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. In our CVC report, which we published last year, we did a survey, of course, and the number one thing we identified that startups want from their CVC investors is help with distribution and sales. And I mean, the whole reason that startup is there is to grow fast, right? And yet it's so elusive and hard to do. So, you know, kudos and have to commend you with that, you know, early success for Rain.
Yeah.
And curious, as you're you know, a global organization, and I know you're a Bay Area native, and you like coming back to the Valley when you can. How global though are you in reaching out to different companies?
Yeah, we actually take great pride in the global nature of Volvo Group, because as I mentioned, we're in 100 countries, and, you know, we see a little bit of everything across the planet. You know, with that being said, we tend to view innovation globally as well. We tend to view our partners as global partners. It's a little hard for a small startup to be global, but through a Volvo relationship, they get access to a global network. So that's kind of how we look at it. You know, we reach out to early stage partners all across the world, especially in the markets where we have a lot of market share. You know, Brazil is a very fertile ground for us right now. Obviously Europe, and of course within the US, but Asia, you know, Africa, there's so many different opportunities that are out there. But specifically, you know, we focus on partners that are not only best in class, but they're also best in their local market, right? So we don't really think about the startups that we work with in terms of their ability to become a global brand or a global company. We think about them in terms of their ability to serve a global multinational such as ourselves. And if we can find enough of those startups across the world and connect them through Volvo, then it allows them to be what they're extremely good at. And it also allows them to, again, become the best in class in their local market so they can build that strong foundation. And we can have the best company in Brazil, the best company in India, the best company in South Africa to really kind of allow us to leverage what they're really good at, because they know their markets locally better than they could possibly know a market outside of their local region. But we know the globe better than anyone. Right.
That's super cool. In one of our previous conversations with Alex Lazaro, who recently wrote the book Out Innovate, he talked about startups that are being born global and ones from markets far from the valley that are building powerful new businesses in really sustainable ways. So something he describes as camels, not unicorns.
Yes.
Those types of companies that are built perhaps not to blitz scale, but instead to like serve a customer, including a big institutional customer like you are the types that can be quite successful, I think, in this particular context when working with a CVC. I think, though, understanding the global context and being part of an international organization like Volvo Group, I understand that sustainability and the environment is really important to the group strategy, and also like finding its way into the types of opportunities you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. Sustainability is a major pillar for us. Volvo Group subscribes to the UN Sustainability and Development Goals. Everything that we do, along with most large multinationals, has a strong environmental bend to it. Within the commercial vehicle sector and within the auto sector in general, we talk a lot about the ACEs, right? Autonomy, connectivity, electric, and shared. We've kind of pushed on all four of those cylinders, very quickly. And those are areas that we constantly are trying to find new innovations in. A few days ago, actually, Volvo Group and Daimler announced a joint venture to develop sustainable transportation by using large-scale production of fuel cells, right? So, it's kind of part of the Green Deal vision for carbon neutral Europe. We're going to be 50-50 partners with them, and that's a very interesting indicator of what's going to come, in the upcoming years. In the U.S., we're also pursuing electrification and other sustainable opportunities. We recently announced our long-haul electric vehicles. We're electrifying fleets, numerous fleets. Our customers are asking for it, so we're bringing it to them. In California, we're pursuing some very early stage electrification efforts with a program in Southern California called Lights. So, this concept of sustainability and environmental awareness is huge for us, and the services that we're going to start delivering and that we're developing now all have that as kind of a key pillar.
That's really cool. I'm curious if you have a kind of intuitive feel today that we're moving to that future more quickly because of the current crisis, or if you think progress is on pause or something like that.
I think that, first of all, this crisis is completely, unheard of, unprecedented. So, companies are adjusting. Obviously, people and families are adjusting, which is probably even more important. But, as a major provider of transportation solutions of goods, people, and things all across the world, we view this crisis as another opportunity to re-emphasize what we were already doing around environmental sustainability, around financial inclusion and economic empowerment in all of the markets that we operate in. So, once we get back to business as usual, again, this announcement that we recently made with Daimler was square in the middle of this crisis, right? So that is a good indicator that we're still moving full speed ahead on things that will help human lives across the world.
That's a pretty powerful mission, and it's awesome that we can like keep that bigger picture in mind, in the midst of the immediate crisis that's in front of us, because we've got to like build a better future, certainly on the other side of this. Yeah. And I guess final question here is, what advice would you give to others in the early stages of building a new CVC, a new corporate?
Yeah, it's a good question. When we designed VFS Innovation Ventures, and we're still in the very early stages as well. I mean, we're less than a year in at this point, but we're starting to see more tailwinds than headwinds. So, which is a good thing, even given the current crisis. But getting it set up, there are a lot of challenges. When we designed VFS Innovation Ventures, we really focused on making the CVC a tool to extend the R&D capability of VFS. So as opposed to starting out with kind of a financial objective, we really viewed this as a budget objective for innovation. How can we get access to a much wider variety of thought than we could if we just did it on our own and spent the exact same amount of money, right? So, that helped us get a large amount of buy-in from our management team, because they saw it in the same way, which was, they can spend $1 million inside the company with our existing talent and perhaps fall flat on our face, or we could spend $1 million at $100,000 each for 10 cool startups that each have 40 or 50 people in their companies that are all very smart, that can help us accelerate. So, viewing it through that lens, I think really helped push us forward. So I would give, the advice to anyone else that wants to start something similar, to view your CVC as an extension of your company's current innovation efforts, as opposed to, purely a financial driver. If we achieve financial returns from some of the investments that we make, that's a feather in the cap, but it's not the cap itself.
I love that metaphor, the feather in the cap, not the cap itself. I have no doubt you'll be collecting a lot of feathers in your cap.
Yeah, we hope so.
Well, that about like wraps it. I know we could like talk all day, but we should leave it here. Jason, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to catch up and chat, and big fan of all the things that are happening at VFS Innovation Ventures.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the time, and thank you for inviting us.
Pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.